Hey, podcast listeners. Today we're going to talk about a new subject, and it's going to be about empathy. In fact, I am titling this, What Kills Empathy? Wouldn't it be a great world to live in if everyone had empathy, not just for themselves, but for others? Yeah, so why is that not the case? So let's talk about what kills empathy. So, I want to share a memory. When I was 8 years old, I had a disturbing experience where and I don't remember why I did this, but I guess I was really mad at a neighbor girl who was my age, and I sunk my fingernails into her wrist in order to inflict pain on her. Now, I am not proud of this memory, so please bear with me. I'm not condoning this in any way, but I remember doing that, and I remember thinking at the time, this is so crazy that I am inflicting pain on Rachel, but I feel nothing myself. And I remember after that feeling very haunted by that experience, that I felt nothing. And it just felt intuitively wrong that I could hurt someone and feel no pain myself. Now, in retrospect, I realize that the reason I felt nothing was because I chose to feel nothing. I chose to withhold all empathy, of course, from Rachel, because I was smart enough to know at age 8 that if I felt empathy for Rachel, I would not be able to successfully hurt her with my fingernails. So I chose a type of denial to not feel something that was very real. And I want to talk about that because that is actually, I think, the essence of what denial is. A lot of us conflate denial with just not acknowledging something happened or being consciously aware of it, blocking it out entirely. And yet I think that that type of denial is actually much less common than knowing that something did happen and just not allowing ourselves to truly know it happened because we refuse to allow ourselves to feel it viscerally. That is the essence of all denial, and that is the most toxic of all. So when I confronted my father in email and I documented and shared with him myriad things that he had said and done over my lifetime that were abominable, I know that he read the words on my email. I know that much. But I know that he also wouldn't allow himself to feel the things that I was suggesting had happened. If he were to allow himself to feel empathy for me, which was my goal, he would also have to allow himself to feel the guilt for what he had done and the pain he had inflicted on me. And you can't have one without the other. You cannot feel empathy for someone without also maybe feeling the guilt on your end for what you did. And he is devoted to resisting feeling any guilt. I've heard many people say, yeah, sure, my parent abused me or neglected me, but that was a long time ago and I've just moved on. So they're acknowledging something that happened without feeling it because they don't want to feel the pain or the anger. Yet when we choose to turn off one feeling, it successfully shuts down all feelings, which keeps us from also feeling joy as well as empathy. Denial ultimately hurts much more than it helps. Denial also hurts those around us, since when we are in denial, we cannot feel empathy. I think of a former friend who I now realize has been in denial our entire adulthood, and how she was never able to empathize with me and even with her children. I now see in retrospect how much this explains the behavioral problems of her children when they were young, and how shut down her children are as young adults even today. Her denial still causes her to make very, very poor parenting choices in the current tense, choices that most parents would not make because she has no empathy to serve as a guide. Maybe we should talk about the danger of a life without empathy, because that is a natural result of someone who chooses to stay in denial. Empathy allows us to imagine what other people feel. It is a built-in feedback loop to help us discern what to say and do and what to avoid saying and doing. Our empathy is informed by our core and only works when we allow our core self to feel her feelings. People without empathy tend to not have a lot of feelings in general and have no idea most of the time what to do with the feelings of others. We would call these people emotionally averse. People lacking empathy usually try to talk others out of their feelings, which of course never works and often backfires. They are people who usually have a lot of internalized shame that they refuse to admit to, which keeps them in their denial, and it becomes a vicious cycle. These are people who are often evoked when you tell them you're choosing to go against a parent or an authority figure in some way. They will try to talk you out of it and try to make you second guess yourself. That's because you are doing the one thing that they are most afraid to do, and yet at some level know is absolutely necessary, and that is to differentiate. This is the very bedrock of their denial, their anger at their own parents for hurting them. Suddenly, you're poking the bear, and they need to dissuade you in efforts to maintain their own defenses. As I say this, I am thinking of the times in my life I was not supported by those around me when I most needed to challenge a boss or a parent, and how effed up that was. But I'm also understanding why. Denial needs company in order to maintain itself. Empathy is suddenly in short supply when it's too evocative to give. The solution is, as always, before we can consider feeling our feelings, is to remove the shame. Shame is unlike all other feelings because it is not native to humans. Babies are born into the world with the full gamut of emotions, but not shame. That's because shame is not a human phenomenon. It is subhuman. Shame is not innate, but comes through other humans, mainly our parents. And unlike other feelings, shame is a liar. It lies to us and tells us that our core self is not good. It tells us we can't trust ourselves. So we become hollow and empty. And we fill ourselves with food or dissociate from the emptiness with addictive substances and compulsive behaviors. Shame makes it impossible for us to nurture ourselves because shame is a type of self-contempt. And so we look only to others to nurture us. The only way to overcome denial and develop empathy is to dislodge shame. And the good news is it is not hard. We start paying attention first by where shame shows up for us. Maybe shame shows up when we have difficulty with public speaking or eye contact. Maybe it shows up when there's silence in the presence of other people. Maybe it's activated when we make a mistake or when we attempt to speak up for ourselves. Just pay attention and notice. Then take a moment to sit down, close your eyes, and imagine that you are in one of those shame activating situations. So, for example, imagine that you just made a mistake and people saw you, if that's a trigger for you. Start by telling your brain how much you appreciate her, but you are going to need her to take a break and you'll come back to her later because right now you just need to feel whatever your body is feeling. Notice what you feel in your body when you imagine yourself in that shame activating scenario. Then focus on that sensation, wherever it is, and let your mind float back to the earliest time you felt that same sensation. And just see what memory comes to mind. Maybe your memory is you being a little girl and being reprimanded for being too loud or too angry. Whatever that memory is, imagine now that your adult self enters that memory and walks over to your young self, gets down on her level and looks her in the eyes and says to her, "Little Bronwyn," you're going to say your own name here, of course, "I see how ashamed you feel when mom makes that look of disgust at you being loud or you showing anger. And I don't blame you, but I need you now to see what I see and know what I know. I need you to see that your shame does not belong to you, but to her, because she is the one here with the unrealistic expectations of how children actually behave in real life. And so we're going to put all the shame you feel in this big cardboard box right now, and we're going to give it back to her. And we're going to say, "Here you go, Mom. This is not mine. It never was. So I'm going to return it to owner. Do with it what you will, but it does not belong to me." Then say, "Little Bronwyn, I see you. I see all of you. I see the good, bad, and the ugly. But I see a net good in my eyes. I am pleased with you because you are precious to me. And your feelings matter to me. And they are valid. And from here on out, we're going to feel them together. So you won't have to feel them in isolation anymore, because it is overwhelming to feel our feelings in isolation. But what's shareable is bearable. And I am going to be that mirror for you, that true mirror that you can trust, that gives you a true reflection of yourself from here on out. The only reflection that you can truly trust. And I want to apologize that it's taken me this long to rescue you. I am so sorry that I have allowed you to feel so desperate and alone for so long. I had no idea all that time how much you needed me or how powerful I am to rescue you. But my eyes are opening and I'm here to stay, and I am committed to winning back your trust in me from here on out. And I'm never going to abandon you again. Then take her by the hand and say, "Little Bronwyn, let's get the hell out of here." And walk her right out that front door, shut it firmly behind you, and say, "Here we are together at long last in the light of the sun where everything is clear. And it is a new day for us. We are whole now. We have each other. And you will never be alone again." This exercise is so powerful and it works, but it is not a one and done, meaning we need to do this exercise every time we notice shame is activated in some way. Each time, the shame that comes up for us is linked to a different imprinting memory. And so we need to do this exercise with every imprinting memory in order to fully dislodge all our shame. All humans have multiple memories where shame has been lodged. But once we unlearn that shame in each memory, we become free of all shame. And we have the ability to expel it all. I am living proof of someone who was once absolutely overrun by shame and now is completely free. It is quite literally like coming to life. And I can honestly say that at age 54, I now have more energy than I have ever had in my entire life. I went from wanting to be dead to being so excited to wake up every single morning. But perhaps more importantly, I'm fully me now and not in denial of anything. I have empathy for others and for myself, and it informs who I am and the way I live. And I want that for you too, dear listener. So please do this exercise as many times as that shame gets activated for you. And please share this with a friend. Thank you for listening today.